message that by using timeout, they are hurting their children by isolating and abandoning them in their time of need. So what are parents to do when their children are hitting, refusing to follow directions, or doing something dangerous? Before we go any further, what is timeout? We've got over 40 years of research to answer that question. But part of the problem is people call all sorts of different things timeout. What do we mean by timeout? We mean timeout from positive reinforcement. So here's what we know from the research and recommendations. Timeout can start with a warning, but only one. Too many warnings actually lead to more misbehavior. After one warning, if the misbehavior continues, caregivers should tell the child the reason for timeout. And as they state the reason, they take their child to timeout. Timeout from positive reinforcement means that timeout needs to be in a safe and boring place, like a chair in a quiet corner. But timeout is brief. 2 to 3 minutes is all that's needed to reduce misbehavior. And shorter timeouts are more effective than longer timeouts. Timeout from reinforcement means no entertainment in timeout, no books, no toys, no screens, and definitely no caregiver attention to anything the child does, except if they escape from timeout. Caregivers end timeout after the set amount of time, plus their child being quiet at the end of timeout. If the child leaves timeout before the caregiver gives permission, bring the child back to timeout and restart the time. And finally, if timeout was for not following directions, the child has to comply at the end of timeout, or go back to timeout. Timeout is endorsed by the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. In the context of a strong caregiver-child relationship, timeout is a safe and effective way to set healthy limits, teach children to self-soothe, reduce problem behaviors, and help children develop greater self-control.